Do y'all think that the better team won, or was this just a bad game?
They got a cloud hanging over their head.
You execute when you're supposed to execute, and we didn't do that. They were the better team in that game.
Welcome, everybody, to another exciting episode of Pigskins and Pageantry. Last weekend had all the drama, and we're ready to talk about it. Unfortunately, Matt is feeling under the weather, and before you ask, no, it isn't because his beloved Vols lost last week. He is truly under the weather, so we'll press on in his stead and wish him a speedy recovery. But pressing on now, Jesse, how are you?
I mean, I'm feeling good. I have to admit, I have some coworkers that are Badgers fans, and so they were, expecting some trash talk this week, which I did not engage in because I was not I'm not confident.
That crow
And
does not taste good.
it doesn't, and I don't like to make statements when I'm not sure that I can back them up. And so
Absolutely.
despite, the beating we put on UL Monroe, I still didn't know how we would fare. But I'm very happy to say that I didn't have to avoid my coworkers this week. So
Well, that's always good. And let's just go ahead and get right into it. So we'll talk about those games from last week.
Always remember, if you ain't first, you're last.
All right, well, you just talked about it, Wisconsin at Alabama. Alabama went to their place last year, and now Wisconsin comes to Bama's place this year. Bama won this one 38-14. I got the point here.
only
Um,
the second Big Ten team to play at Bryant-Denny Stadium or Saban Field
really?
at Bryant-Denny Stadium, whatever you
Yeah,
call
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Crazy.
Who's the other one?
I can't remember who they said. I need to look that up, but
Trying to,
it was probably a blue blood, I would imagine.
yeah, I'm trying to remember. I don't remember off the top either, or if it was recent. I'm not sure.
I probably not, but it's odd to think. I mean, once you think about it, it makes sense, right? Because we always go to neutral sites
Right.
or maybe we're traveling there, but we it's weird to think that throughout the whole history, this is only the second one.
It's only the second one, yeah. I don't think this game was the outcome of this game was unexpected as Bama won big here, as we just said, and Ryan Williams goes off for 165 yards and two touchdowns on five catches. Jesse, I'll let you elaborate. What were your thoughts on this one?
It was great to see Brian Williams back, obviously coming out of the FSU game. He did not play the week prior against UL Monroe because of a concussion. And he's 18 now, so we're not hearing much about his age, but he is still a very young player despite being in his second season. And my boyfriend kept mentioning it as we were playing, and he said, he has that special sauce about him. You just watch his footwork and the way that he moves and kind of jukes people out. Yes, did he get hit in the hands a couple times and still drop it? Absolutely. I imagine they'll be cleaning some of that up, but he truly does have an immense amount of talent that when you watch him play, it's amazing, especially for someone so young. You can really start to see that he's someone that could exceed quite well in the NFL once you watch the guys on Sunday and see how they're moving. He kind of mimics that. And yes, there's still room for growth, but it seems like his natural ability is just already at a step above a lot of people that have to work at it quite a bit. So it was really great to see him. And I have to admit, I was really hard on him after the first game, after the FSU game, super, super hard on him and justifiably so hard on the whole team. But Ty Simpson has really started to settle in, right? He's taking on QB1. He was perfect, a perfect stat line against UL Monroe. And that stat line really didn't get too much worse going into this game. He was 24 of 29 for 382 yards and 4 passing touchdowns. Yes, I understand
Not a
that
bad day.
no, and I understand that we didn't play a Georgia, a Tennessee, an LSU. Like I get that, but we've also seen teams that have outstanding talent, outstanding quarterbacks, and they fail against teams like a Wisconsin. So you can always, trip yourself up. But it looked like he was just dead on. His passes were accurate. He threw with precision. He seemed like he wasn't as nervous, wasn't as scared. He had a nice calm poise about him. So I was really, really encouraged. It reminded me a lot of like a Mac Jones performance, which He might have another chance in the NFL now.
Hmm.
But his first couple of years were not great. But at Bama, he was super successful, and it was great to watch him play. I also think that we started to see that Ryan Grubb's offense, when the offensive line does their job, it works a little bit. And it was nice to see that we were calling some plays that I didn't expect, that like early flea flicker kind of play. Awesome to see. We've talked about it in previous Alabama seasons. You have to have an offensive line in order to have a successful offense. Your quarterback can do as much as they want. You can have great wide receivers, great running backs. But if you don't have the protection of your offensive line and they're failing you, your offense isn't going to work. I don't care how many plays you squeak by on. And so I think we're starting to see that. I think we're starting to see them get themselves cleaned up a little bit. Um, One aspect that I think everyone is really hoping for is a better run game. I was there in the times, and right before I got there was also, Trent Richardson. He was there my freshman year. Then you have Derrick Henry, you have Bo Scarborough, and they were amazing running backs. And right before I got there was Mark Ingram. So you get used to this, and it was a different style of football. We didn't have, those super long passes, and it was a ground and pound run game style of offense. But I would really like to see us utilize our running backs a little bit better. It felt inconsistent, and they had 72 yards and one score on three and some change yards for a rush. So again, we're great with our wide receivers, but in order to be a complete team, and I think to go far this season against the more juggernauts that we're going to face, we have to have a more complete offense. And to me, that's being able to engage your running backs as well, and not just count on a quarterback scramble, or being able to have those beautiful precision passes, because we're going to come up against defenses that are going to cause us some issues. So we've got to be able to vary the scheme there. But overall, very happy.
Yeah, I mean, you can't argue with a result like that, and only encouraging moving forward. I was talking to somebody tonight about the look for Bama's offense, and how they are utilizing those wide receivers heavily this year, and how looking at how Georgia did against Tennessee does not bode well for that game later on this year. So, um,
No, it does not. And I mean, yes, we're using a little bit of tight end play as well, but it it still feels a little lopsided. I mean, I'm not going to argue with the score. It's amazing. A win is always great. You have stat lines for Ty Simpson, like we've seen, amazing. But you have to be more complete. We're just in a different level of play now.
right.
Everybody can beat you. Anybody can beat you. I mean, just ask Florida.
Hmm.
Just ask us. I mean, we started off with an L. We have to be more complete. And I think engaging our running backs is going to be big for us.
Yeah. Yep. So more to follow on that. We'll see if they can get that running game going. Next is Georgia at Tennessee.
Holy
Georgia
cannoli.
won this one 44, huh?
I mean, just holy cannoli.
44 to 41. And this was one of those where if you don't have a team in the fight, it's a wonderful game to
I
watch.
loved every minute of it.
But yeah, I mean, this was just a wild one from start to finish, really. Obviously, Tennessee got off to a really blazing start in this one, 21-7. Georgia's, kicked in the teeth and just really has to get their wits about them before they can, get things rolling. But obviously, Georgia came back. And I was really impressed with the composure of Gunnar Stockton in this one. I'll talk more about that later. Because, when something like that happens, you can't get desperate, right? You have to, especially on the road in an environment like Neyland, which is just so tough. They were showing the decibels on there, which I think was just south of like gunshot range is how loud it was in
It
there.
is not, I imagine, not a fun place to play.
So yeah, and I can't even. I can only imagine you probably can't even hear yourself think in there. So kudos to him there. This was his first true road start as well because obviously
Yep.
the bowl game or the playoff game last year was a neutral site game. So, but my key takeaways for this one is I think Tennessee is good, as evidenced by this. I don't think that Georgia's defense is just bad. I think that Tennessee is a good team. But I do think Georgia's defense got exposed, especially the secondary. There's two long touchdown throws in that one that honestly you just have to knock them down. We've seen some of that before with Tennessee's offense against Syracuse and a few others where they just not taking credit away because obviously the throw has to be made, the receivers have to make the catch, but you know, hey, if you're a DB, you just got to knock that down. I still do have some issues with Bobo's play calling, but you can search our archives for my diatribes on that. But Tennessee probably deserved to win that game, and Kirby even said that. He said, "I feel like we should probably apologize to them because they really kind of deserve to win that one." Georgia didn't play their best. Tennessee played a pretty good game. But I agree that if you can see a positive here as a Georgia fan, it's the fact that even though they didn't play well, especially on defense, they hung in there and didn't give up. And it's always nice to be able to learn these lessons while still getting a W. So a lot of times you learn lessons from a loss, but there are plenty of lessons to be learned here from a win. So, like I said, really impressed with Gunner's composure. Things were intense there, but one thing that I noticed throughout, even when they were down big, and even in some of these desperate situations and intense situations, I didn't see him look rattled a single time. And as we said, that's one of the toughest environments to play in, probably top five in the country, most difficult places, especially, I mean, the sound, energy, just all of it together. So I know this is a gut-wrenching loss for Tennessee fans, but I think they're going to be really good this year. And also, and Heupel hinted at this in his post-game interview that they'll be more motivated, even more motivated after this. So sometimes that can kind of kickstart you. Look at the Tebow speech after a loss.
Yeah.
You never know what can happen after something like that happens. So, yeah, I am excited to see them get a win. Um, I'm not going to lie on that. When Georgia was going to tie it up there, that fourth and six or whatever the down was. I thought we'd call something a little bit shorter just to kind of get the first down before the goal, and but when he turned and threw towards the corner there, I was like, oh no. I was like, this is it. Like, there's no way he's going to complete this impossible pass, but he just dropped it right in his hands. Perfect pass. Great catch by Humphreys, who'd had several big drops in the game to that point. And then a great play design for the 2-point conversion just to get the receiver open. That was just incredible. So obviously, I feel bad for their kicker, who could have sealed the deal at the end for them. But he did kind of come back, and obviously in the overtime period, made that field goal, which was about the same distance and almost the same spot on the field. So at least he was able to put that out of his head and made one after that, which may help him going forward this year as well, not be in his head so much. So, but then great play calling and great execution to score the touchdown and then get the win after that. Jesse, what were your thoughts on this wild and crazy one?
I mean, I loved it, right? You're absolutely spot on. And when you don't have a dog in the fight, you honestly hate both of them. It's just fun to watch them destroy each other. It's honestly almost as fun as watching your own game because my game was already over. So I was like, okay, phew, the rest of the day is just fun.
Right.
And wow, did we have some games the rest of the day? And we'll get to them. But I was really impressed with Joey Aguilar. His first start at Neyland. That's super cool. I mean, against Georgia, and he had an insane start. He was 24 of 36 passing for 371 yards, 4 touchdowns. He did have 2 interceptions, and he also rushed for a touchdown. His story was really interesting as well. I liked that they gave a little bit of background, and he's someone that if you're not familiar with his story, and yes, we talk about transfers a lot, but started at community college, went to another college because he didn't have any offers coming out of high school, thought he was going to quit and just become a firefighter. And, he's finally made his way over to be the head of the Vols. But he was perfect 14 for 14 passing for 213 yards with 2 touchdowns in the first quarter. And then he added a rushing touchdown. Yes, they lost, but if you're a Vols fan, you've got to feel really encouraged that after losing who maybe you thought was going to be your guy to California, that you've scooped up a pretty damn good one, because holy cannoli, he was
Not to
showing.
mention things aren't going so great out in California
No,
right
things
now.
are not going well. So I feel like you got the better end of that deal. And that
Hmm.
also has to make you feel pretty good. I was super impressed with Chris Braswell. He caught 3 touchdown passes. I felt like every time they were scoring, it was Chris, or not Braswell, Brazel. Um, he had a career best day, 6 receptions for 177 yards, including 3 touchdown catches. I mean, come on. What
Hmm.
more could you want? Despite having a loss, I'm sure he had a great time on campus afterward. um, but the takeaway, I think, for the Tennessee faithful is they started out red hot. I mean, I felt like when they started that I was like, well, Georgia's done, right? Georgia's done.
I thought that.
Yeah, Georgia was able to come back, which it's funny in the sense that we've seen this narrative before where Georgia can start slow and then they have to catch up because they're like, oh, oops, we got to play real football. And then Tennessee can start really lightning fast and then they can lose it. So you don't want those narratives to continue this season. You want to clean it up. You're early on. You can start to clean this up. But how do you minimize mistakes? How do you play for 4 full quarters and some overtime? Because that's a thing. But again, we've talked about it umpteenth times, is third down conversion for both teams, not great. Not great. 8 of 17 for Georgia, 5 of 12 on third down for Tennessee. And you also have 10 penalties for Tennessee. You have 5 for Georgia. So you have 2 turnovers on each side. You've got to clean up those stat lines. Game goes much better for whoever cleans it up. So I think both teams have to be encouraged by this. It's certainly not great when you lose, but you've got a lot of talent on that Tennessee roster, and I am certainly not looking forward to playing them.
Yeah, and I would be curious to talk to a Tennessee fan about the shift in how things were approached on the offense for Tennessee in this game,
Yeah.
because I really felt in the very beginning when we had that hot streak and Aguilar went, you said 14 for 14 there in the first quarter, and it was over 200 yards passing in the first quarter if I'm not mistaken. Um, and like they were doing the high tempo stuff that Georgia was could not keep up with. They were on their heels and just looked totally lost, dazed, and confused out there. And I'm very curious as to why they switched that up, because after a few drives, I can't remember when the turning point actually was. I guess probably sometime in the second quarter. But it's like they were just content to just sort of slow things down. And like I get it, there's the caveat to the high tempo offense is that if you get stopped and you go 3 and out, then oh my gosh, your defense has to go right back out on the field,
Exactly.
and there's a potential for them to get gassed. However, the way they had been working the ball down the field before that was working, and they were having long, sustained drives with that tempo offense. That yes, it's moving fast, but they're able to put a bunch of plays together, which was tiring Georgia's defense out.
Yeah.
And so I'd be very curious if there's somebody in the know on the inside who has any kind of clue as to why that approach was switched up. I don't know. It's something interesting to me that I saw even just during the course of the game. So
Yep. No, absolutely. Tell us in the comments.
yes, please let us know. All right, I think we've talked enough about that one. Next is Arkansas at Ole Miss. Ole Miss won this one 45 or 41 to 35. Jesse got the point here. This was the first start by Trinidad Chambliss for Ole Miss at quarterback after Simmons struggled with turnovers the last couple games. Incredible job by Taylor Green in Arkansas to just hang with Ole Miss in this, which another shootout style game. Um, and then, this was just back and forth, and we mentioned the shootout, but Arkansas was trying to put together another drive to take the lead back when Jalen Brown fumbled at the end to put the game away. So, got to take care of that football, and they were driving, so it's very possible. And up to that point, no one had been able to stop anybody all day. So who's to say that they wouldn't have been able to score after that if
Yeah,
that hadn't
it was
happened? So.
offense, offense, offense.
Yeah, so this is very interesting. Arkansas, I think, is better than a lot of people think they are. Obviously, they lost this one, but just hanging with Ole Miss, I don't know. What do you think?
I think on the Arkansas side of things, I think their defense has some struggles. I mean, obviously, look at the score, and there's some defensive struggles on both sides,
Hmm.
but it's they they had a lot of missed tackles. If you go back and watch, they were giving up just huge chunks of yardage, and they weren't getting stops on third down. I mean, at the end of the day, that's their biggest job, right? Is to get those stops on third down. I mean, Ole Miss was 8 for 12, and yes, Arkansas was 9 for 12. So you can say the same thing for Ole Miss on their side of the ball, but that would be a concern for me. It's definitely, Taylor Green did the best he could with over 300 passing yards and 100 rushing yards, and you've got to commend him on just leaving everything out on the field, right? But there were also some costly mistakes, and you hate to put it on missing field goals because the argument is always, well, it shouldn't come down to the kicker. But unfortunately, a lot of times it comes down to the kicker, and that's not just in college. I mean, you watch the Cowboys this past weekend. Holy cannoli, their kicker hit a 60 plus yard field goal to send them to overtime. And that's insane. But, crucial late game fumbles, you've got two missed field goals, and, you had times you could put something away or at least execute a little bit better. Arkansas's offense, I think, has a lot of potential, but I do think that there needs to be quite a bit of cleanup there on defense. As far as Ole Miss goes, talked about switching out some quarterbacks. I think Trinidad Chambliss did a decent job leading them. I
Yeah.
mean, no concerns there. That's your guy, right? And I think we're seeing Lane Kiffin, who is so offensive minded. He's not afraid to make the calls that need to be made. He's not afraid to do something that might be a little bit controversial. And he lost somebody in Jackson Dart who is doing very well in the NFL, and he needs to find a quarterback, and he's going to find it. So that, I think, was a good call. Their red zone efficiency was nearly perfect. It was converting 7 of 7 opportunities to score points. So again, Lane Kiffin is an offensive mind, and he makes some questionable calls sometimes, but he really knows how to run an offense. And they've yet again at Ole Miss found a way to close out a really close SEC game. It's starting to become a pattern. So they are also a team I do not look forward to playing. And I think we're starting to see that a little bit more. We've always said that it's any given Saturday in the SEC, but it almost feels like this season, and we had it last season. It feels like it's a little bit more. And I don't know why.
I completely agree. I mean, you look all over the college football landscape this year already, just tons of upsets all over the place. So, um, all right,
And just close games, even if they're
yeah,
not huge upsets, we're just so close.
right. Games that maybe you didn't think would be.
Yeah.
And speaking of upsets, here's a team who just got upset recently. Florida at LSU. LSU winning this one 20-10. I got the point here. Now, this was actually largely a defensive back and forth early on, low scoring affair. And even in the end, the score was fairly low with LSU, obviously 20-10. But what puzzled me is that with things only being a two possession game later on, and a large part of the game, a one possession game. DJ Lagway was still called upon to throw the ball a total of 49 times in this one. So it's like they're playing like they're down by three scores when really, I mean, you're right there if you make the right calls and maybe have a more methodical approach down the field. Um, and guess who calls plays for the Gators? Billy Napier.
Who
He
will
is
not relinquish
he will not. He's
playing
very
plays.
stubborn about that and gets kind of huffy when people ask him about it. So I
He
think
may be, they may be less of asking and more of telling from now on.
right. I think that may be the final nail in the coffin, as it were, for his coaching tenure in Gainesville. And by that, I mean it might be his gross mismanagement of an incredible talent like DJ Lagway. We were talking about this tonight in my daughter's soccer practice with some of the other people there. That gosh, how many teams across college football would love to have him? I mean, a dual threat, incredible athlete, a great arm, but just I think is not being utilized how he should be. And so, like we were just saying, you're not down by that much, but yet you're asking this guy to throw it this many times. I mean, no wonder he threw five picks in this game. I mean, when you're throwing it that many times into like triple coverage sometimes because it's simply not open, what do you expect? So I don't know. What were your takeaways from this game?
I think that's spot on. And we're in a time now where he can leave. You can lose this huge talent if you don't do your job, because there will 1000% be offers that are very enticing from somewhere else. And you don't want to get in that situation. You could be in that situation regardless, even if you do your job and you call every play right. But if you don't, you're really going to be there. And it sucks because Florida had so many opportunities. There were five picks, five.
Yeah.
And some of them, play calling was terrible. Some of them, I think, were a little bit on DJ where he wasn't making the best decisions. Like there were some plays, and I can't remember, it was later in the game, but I think it was going for someone in the end zone, and he's got somebody in the far corner, but he's also got somebody like right here. And they're both covered, but one is just a little bit less. And you're like, just look, be able to make intelligent decisions. But I think at that point he's already rattled, because you watched a little bit of the pregame and you watched not long into the game. It was very chippy. It was very emotional. There was a lot going on. We had targeting within the first, I don't know, 5-10 minutes of the game. A lot was
Oh
happening
yeah, they were fighting during warm-ups.
during warmups. I mean, and then they fought afterwards. Like everything was just happening. I also saw, and everybody's to blame. Let me just put that out there. Everybody's to blame. If you participated, you are to blame. I did not appreciate, after I think it was the first interception, one of the LSU players, and it might have been the one that caught it, walked past DJ Lagway and patted him on the helmet. And I commend DJ Lagway because I would have punched that guy in the throat immediately. Immediately. I can't handle that. But Florida had a lot of missed opportunities, and it was not something that they needed after the week before. A very tough loss in the Swamp. And then you go into probably one of the top three hardest places to play, most vitriolic places to play. And this starts to happen. Billy Napier is running out of time at Florida. Okay. Sure, you lost last week. You could have saved yourself a little bit like you did last season. You beat LSU. You beat a big team. You can almost save yourself. But his refusal to give up play calling, not making intelligent play calling, clearly not calling for the game situation you're in, but it also didn't feel like he was playing to his quarterback strengths. He's rattled. That they are throwing everything at him. There's triple cover, like nothing is working, and you're just continuing to try it. And that doesn't set your quarterback up for success. And that's really, really frustrating. And I guarantee you those boosters in the athletic department are very frustrated with him. He has a 20-21 overall record with just 10 wins in 25 SEC games.
Yeah.
That's not great. It's not the trajectory that I think Gator Nation is expecting or wants or hired him to bring. They need stability. They need to get back to what they were used to for a long time. And I think LSU just magnified the issues that they have with Billy Napier,
Yeah.
and it was put front and center. Um, Things have to get cleaned up. And I honestly think, despite how Lagway played, I think you've got to get it at the coaching position first. You've got to solve that. And not taking anything away from LSU. LSU had injuries. They had, they had the starter brothers out with targeting and then out with injury. They were facing it too, and the defenses both did a really, really good job. I'm going to say for LSU and for the Gators. And so LSU, it very well could have gone a different way, and they stepped up. They had a home win, and who knows? They are for real.
They're, yep, looking like one of the stronger teams in the country right now. So, all right, Texas A&M versus Notre Dame. Another really good game that came down to the wire. A&M winning this one 41-40. Jesse was the only one to pick A&M here, so kudos there.
I
Um,
was not confident.
so if you haven't seen this, you've been living under a rock because they showed it constantly. But near the end of the game, Notre Dame's holder botched the hold on the extra point. Obviously, that ended up being the difference in the game. As A&M shortly thereafter completed an amazing drive to score a touchdown and went ahead on that all-important extra point. So, interestingly enough, though, Notre Dame starts 0-2, which is significant on a national level because of Notre Dame's weak schedule that they have remaining and the fact that they don't play in a conference. So that may leave the door open for someone else to get in the playoff. So, I know we're just getting started here, but these are big games, and those were ones that they were going to want to put on the resume as quality wins. Obviously, that has not happened yet, so they're gonna need to pick it up if they want to make a case for themselves. So, Jesse, what were your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, again, another exhilarating game. This was the week to watch every game. I
Hmm.
mean, honestly, and I know a lot of them, are happening at the same time, but it's like you need red zone for
Right.
all of these games. And and Texas A&M is off to a start. I mean, they weren't necessarily in the conversation, I think, early on in preseason, and those don't matter anyway, so who cares? But they're starting out pretty strong. And sure, Notre Dame is 0-2 at this moment, but I don't think A&M is somebody to sleep on. They're somebody that could easily trip you up and just kind of be that dark horse. I would keep my eye on A&M. I mean, obviously, we'll keep our eye on them regardless, but they they're they're there. Notre Dame dropped 16 spots to 24 in this week's AP poll following that loss. And Texas A&M rose 6 spots, which again, AP, who cares? It doesn't matter until they start coming out with the playoff. But you know, they're on a 3-0 start, and we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. But I do agree that I think at this point, Notre Dame fans, if you've booked any sort of vacation to the playoffs, you might want to get the trip insurance.
You might want to, yeah,
You might want to splurge that like extra $25 to get the trip insurance, because they have literally lost control of their playoff path. They have to be absolutely perfect. And even at that point, probably not.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, A&M, I think last year was kind of like, obviously it was Elko's first year, and it was their statement, "Hey, I'm here." This year, they're looking to say, "Hey, I'm here to stay," and so they're doing a good job of it so far.
Clean up the penalties, though, gentlemen. You had 13 penalties, and you were only 4 for 11 on third down. Now, you had 488 total yards of offense, which is insane. Notre Dame had 428. So this was a game that I don't think the defense showed up for, but dadgum did the offense.
Yeah, and I know Le'Veon Moss returning at running back was a big
Huge.
addition for them as well, that they were missing him. So let's talk about Vanderbilt at South Carolina. Vandy just continuing to just strut through their teams that they play, like SEC Shorts was talking about this weekend. Vandy winning this one 31-7. Nobody got the point here. I don't know. It's hard to really say what's going on here. I think Vandy is good, but I also think South Carolina just really doesn't have the personnel right now. They have Lenora Sellers, who obviously was out early in this game after a blow to the head. He did get a concussion, didn't return, and more to follow on that. Not sure if he's going to play this weekend upcoming. So, uh, but yeah, I mean, it's hard to see what was going on in this game, but just player for player, pound for pound, it just seemed like Vandy was just outmatching South Carolina in every kind of facet of it. So I don't know. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Vandy's defense was dominant in this game. I mean, you look at the score and you see that, and they forced four turnovers. Yeah, four turnovers, including multiple interceptions and fumbles. So that, yes, you don't have your starting quarterback in there, but still, people have to hold on to the ball regardless of who's behind center. And
Hmm.
they had a really good defense, and it also felt like their offense was relatively balanced. They were going up against a pretty strong South Carolina defensive line, but their run game found success. Their passing game was effective. They were pretty balanced. And then you look at the other side, you look at South Carolina, certainly Sellers' injury and leaving the game was a huge blow to them. But the inconsistency is more than just their quarterback. There was inconsistency across really the entire offense. And they were struggling. They were struggling to get going. They felt very anemic. And it just didn't work. Turnover woes. I mean, look at Florida. If you turn over the ball that many times, the other team's going to take advantage of it. And they had a lot of penalties. They had 8 penalties for 85 yards, 4 turnovers. They were 4 for 12 on third down. You're not going to win a football game like that. So I imagine that there is some very passionate conversations happening in Columbia right now, because despite the fact that Vanderbilt is not the Vanderbilt that we've seen in years past, you still don't want to lose to them. I can say that. We've
Yeah.
lost. It's not fun. It's not a good look. And and they're going to need to clean some stuff up, because if they're not winning against Vanderbilt, they're going to have a tough road to hoe.
Yeah, for sure. And so we're not done talking about Diego Pavia. We'll get to some information on him in the news segment. But let's move through. I don't really have anything to say about the rest of these games. The less competitive games, as we say. Um, the pick'em standings. I've got 15. Jesse's got 14. Matt has 10. So we're all kind of not to put salt in any wounds, but it's kind of like that when Tennessee got off to a really fast start. Well, I got off to a fast start, and now everybody's kind of catching me. So we'll see what happens. Now helmet stickers. Jesse, I can go first unless you have your
Yeah, you
second
go
one ready.
first.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Gunnar Stockton. Don't call me a homer, although it's okay if you do, because I do what I want. He had 304 yards and 2 touchdowns through the air. Rushed for 38 yards and a touchdown. And as I mentioned, he looked like a leader in that he didn't seem to be nervous, even though this was his first true road start. So he gets my first helmet sticker. Second one, Trinidad Chambliss, first start for Ole Miss. We mentioned that. And all he did was throw for 353 yards and a touchdown, and also rushed for 2 touchdowns in that win. So,
Holy.
yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Yeah. We both picked the same
That's
one there.
okay. I changed mine. I had a backup. It's
All
okay.
right. Well, who are yours?
My first one's going to go to Chris Brazzell from Tennessee, wide receiver. I talked about his stats earlier, but insane day for that young man against a really tough team in Georgia and a rival. It's always good to throw up stats like that, 177 yards, multiple touchdowns. So I have to give a helmet sticker to him. And then, sure, I'm going to jump on the Homer bandwagon as well. I'm going to give another one to Ty Simpson. He's settling in at quarterback for Alabama. He was perfect going into, honestly, I think through part of the second quarter, if not more than
Hmm.
that, in
Nice.
passing and put up just precision passes. So his completions probably should have been higher than they were because the wide receivers dropped passes that were in their hands. So my other one's going to go to Ty.
Very good. All right. Well, let's go ahead and talk about that news about Diego Pavia.
Here's the news.
All right, so if you've been keeping track of the news today, and I think it just came out today, Vanderbilt quarterback Diego Pavia is set to challenge the NCAA for a potential seventh season of eligibility. If you recall, he challenged and won in the case earlier in the year for the sixth season, and that's why he's playing now. But obviously, as I just mentioned, Pavia was granted a preliminary injunction against the NCAA in December of 2024, allowing him to play a sixth year, arguing that the NCAA's redshirt rule involving JUCO eligibility violates antitrust law. Pavia's attorney said that unless the rules are not found to be subject to antitrust, they will challenge the redshirt rule and ask for an injunction so Pavia can play in 2026 as well. That's a lot of legalese. Jesse, can you help us out? Help us understand this. Explain it to me like I'm five. I'm just kidding. However you want to.
So for those that don't remember, like you said, Diego Pavia had 2 years in JUCO, then went to New Mexico State, and then now, of course, is at Vanderbilt. The ruling is with the red shirts, and the rule that they're challenging is they're saying that they get 4 years, potentially the 5 years of eligibility with redshirt of eligibility because they're pursuing a 4 year degree, right? That you can leave early. You don't have to get a 4 year degree. We all know that. But that's what the rule is. It's for those that are pursuing a 4 year degree. Their challenge is that because he was at JUCO for the first two, he was not pursuing a 4 year degree. He was pursuing a 2 year degree. And so his eligibility, they're claiming, shouldn't start until 2022.
Makes
Now,
sense to me.
whether you agree with that or not, they are, like you said, they're going at this through an antitrust lens, which is probably the only lens that they could go at this through. And the reason they're doing that is because they're challenging that their rules of eligibility that the NCAA and the member schools and conferences that are within the NCAA or agree to their rulings, they are competing businesses. Sure, we see that with the transfer portal, right? And they have unlawfully conspired to limit how long college athletes can sell their services, their football services, to a school that wishes to place them on their roster. That all sounds great, right? Like we get that. That sounds like, yes, that makes sense. But there is the other side of it. And this is what they're arguing up against is that yes, players are looking to make real money. It's a huge advantage if they win for players like a Diego Pavia or other players that don't necessarily see themselves in the NFL. They're probably not going to get that big NFL payday. And because they can get paid in college and now in the Power Five, because there's revenue sharing, this House ruling is a big factor in this. They are saying you're limiting their ability to sell their skills. And there is real money to make there, right? There's millions of dollars potentially for some of these people. And Pavia came out today and said that he does not intend to actually play next season, but the legal team wants to continue with this case because it would set a precedent for other
Right.
players.
Yeah.
And this would just kind of be his name getting a ruling made. The thing is that we could have an issue because there are conflicting rulings. They've already had a case brought by a Wisconsin cornerback in a different circuit. I believe they're the Seventh Circuit, and they sided with the NCAA. It was a very similar lawsuit. They sided with the NCAA, and because we're at the circuit level, and Pavia's lawsuit is in the Sixth Circuit, if for some reason the Sixth Circuit decides to agree with Pavia, then those institutions that fall within the Sixth Circuit would fall under that ruling. Those institutions that fall under the Seventh Circuit fall under that ruling. So you would have differing rulings, which is going to cause a problem for recruiting.
Yeah, that's wild.
If there are different rulings, until the Supreme Court, if they decide to rule on it, comes at a federal level and gives everybody this protection, then you're going to have students that go to one half of the country or part of the country. They're not going to be able to continue to play. You're going to have those that can. So you're going to have even more transfer madness or recruiting madness than we already have. And it's going to create an issue. That's going to create a lawsuit. There's going to be lawsuits on lawsuits on lawsuits. And so the thing that the NCAA is saying, they are saying that the House ruling, the ruling that allows the Power Five conferences to share revenue share the broadcast money, is that they're saying that it reaffirms this 5-year rule. The settlement does contain language within that House ruling that says that governing the number of seasons and the length of time student athletes are eligible to receive benefits, it affirms that rule. It has that language in there. They also say that there has been briefs filed by the American Council on Education, which matches, eligibility to a sport to normal 4-year path of a college degree. And it allows, or it prevents, college and intercollegiate athletics from becoming this indefinite detour for athletes to actually kind of become pro without becoming pro, and it doesn't complement education. So this rule prevents it from causing this distraction to education, because regardless of revenue sharing, regardless of NIL, at the end of the day, they're still student athletes. And they are trying to avoid this even more professionalism of the sports. And the other thing is they're trying to allow for roster spots, right? Like you're not going to be able to offer freshmen or transfers more spots when you have people that are going to continue to stay. So it does limit you there. The NCAA has already said that if they agree with Pavia's side, if they side with Pavia, the court, they will appeal it because it's already inciting so many lawsuits that are similar for them. So it's a kind of an endless wave of litigation. I'm interested to see, they started their oral arguments today, Tuesday, today. So it's going to continue. I think we're going to see a lot as a result of this. It gets into labor law, it gets into antitrust law. My biggest takeaway is, if you're interested in sports, you're interested in wanting to learn more about what they're arguing, why they're arguing the way they are, and why they can, I would say look up antitrust law. Antitrust law is something that is so prevalent in sports, and not just professional sports, but in college sports, sports of all aspects that we enjoy. And we don't realize it. We don't think about it. I mean, the reason that baseball is the way it is because of antitrust law. Look it up, get just like a base level understanding, and you will become a fiend on learning about this stuff because it's so fascinating.
Yeah, and like you said before we started rolling, is it's something that touches everything. So
Truly, I mean, like I said, I've had conversations before with people on airplanes talking about Major League Baseball and telling them why why baseball is the way it is, why broadcasting is the way it is, why you never see, once high school football starts, you don't see, college football typically on Thursdays. Now we're in Fridays. We're switching it up a little bit, and you don't see college playing on Sundays when the NFL is in regular season.
right.
So that's because of broadcast and antitrust law. It's all.
It's wild. It's bizarre. But to boil it down to one talking point that I didn't make, actually Matt made on our little chat. He said, "Dude is going to have like a doctorate before he gets done with this."
I mean, you hope so, but there are also those players that have been playing for so long. And
Yeah,
like, did Stetson Bennett actually get a degree?
I don't know. I
I don't
don't
think he
think
got a
so.
degree.
I don't think so.
Like, a long time. Um,
Yeah,
you're
he's got a lot
there.
of credits. Just they just don't add up to anything.
You have to be there anyways.
Right.
Just just get something.
Exactly. Might as well. All right, well, that's something exciting to follow. We'll see what the rulings are on that. But for now, let's go ahead and move to our predictions for week 4.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
All right, yeah. So we will get Matt's picks very soon. Right now, we don't have them, but I'll just get right into mine, which I seem to be trying to do anyways on these. I have been skipping Matt of late.
I know.
So what happens is I try to do a different order for us every year, just to kind of
Yeah.
switch up the strategy behind picking who you pick and all that stuff, whatever, just so it's not the same every year. Um, and but apparently that has also led to me forgetting to call upon Matt when I'm supposed to. So, anyways, the first game for next week is Arkansas 2-1 at Memphis 3-0. That's noon on ABC. I think this is going to be a challenge for Arkansas here. Memphis is a good team. Obviously, it's at Memphis, but Memphis really hasn't had a big test yet this year. So I am going to go with Arkansas in this one, 35-28. Jesse, what are you going with?
Yeah, I think Arkansas is reeling after this past week. They got so close. It was such a tough game and hard fought that I think they're going to want to really come out guns blazing here. So I'm going to pick the Razorbacks in this one. I know Memphis is nobody to snub your nose at, but I pick Razorbacks 45-21.
All right, next is UAB 2-1 at Tennessee, also 2-1. That's 12:45 on the SEC Network. Yeah, this one should not be a nail biter. I'm going with Tennessee here, 56-14. Jesse, what you got?
Yeah, I agree. This is another one. Tennessee is big mad after this past weekend. So I do feel bad for UAB. I'm gonna pick Tennessee here 41-17.
All right. Next is Auburn, number 22, 3-0 at number 11, Oklahoma, 3-0. This is 3:30 on ABC. Um, yeah, the return of Jackson Arnold to Norman should be interesting to see what kind of welcome he gets. I also have the feeling that on the field, at least, it won't be a very warm welcome for him. I see Oklahoma's defense being able to kind of get after him and make his life unpleasant, shall we say, back there. Also, that game against Michigan for John Mateer kind of made me a believer in him for Oklahoma. So, because of those, I'm going to go OU here, 28-21. Jesse, what you got?
Yeah, I agree. I think if this had been at Jordan Hare, I might have went with the Tigers, but I think Oklahoma's offense has already proven themselves. I don't think that they're too upset about who they now have at quarterback. I think they're feeling just fine. So I'm going to pick the Sooners in this one. I think it's going to be a close game, but I do think at the end of the day, Sooners are going to pull this one out. So I'm picking Oklahoma 31-28.
All right. Next is Tulane at 3-0 at number 13, Ole Miss, also 3-0, 3:30 on ESPN. Um, Look, Ole Miss better be careful not to sleepwalk into this one because you know the Green Wave will be ready for them. So, but I got to go Ole Miss here. It's at home. I'm going to go with Ole Miss 35-24. Jesse?
Yeah, Tulane is not anybody to snub your nose at either. They
Mm-mm.
have they have done well. They're 3-0 going into this. Again, they're not ranked, but that's not to say anything as we've already seen this season. Ole Miss has a little bit to clean up. Their defense certainly has to work a little bit harder than they did last week. So I am going to pick Ole Miss in this, but I'm going to pick a close one, honestly. I'm going to go 38-35.
Okay. That would be an exciting one. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Next is Northern Illinois 1-1 at Mississippi State 3-0. That's 4:15 on SEC Network. Yeah, it looks like people are expecting Mississippi State to not really struggle too much here. I'm going to go Mississippi State 34-13. Jesse, who you got?
I mean, did we expect them to be 3-0? I
Right.
I'm excited for them and
I love
potentially
it.
4-0.
Yeah.
This is super great. I is Northern Illinois the one that beat
Notre
Notre
Dame, I
Dame?
believe. I
Yeah.
believe so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So they can always trip you up, but this is in Starkville and Mississippi State is off to a good start. They put up 63 points this past weekend. So I'm gonna go with the Bulldogs here and I'm gonna go 35-10.
All right. South Carolina, 2-1. 0-1 in the SEC at Missouri, 3-0. 7 p.m. on ESPN. Like I said before, I'm not really sure if Lenora Sellers is going to be back from that concussion or not. I assume he may not play, but South Carolina, they're going to have to figure out a lot more things than just the quarterback position, to be honest. And we talked about that. Uh, Missouri's playing well, although they do have a little bit of an easier schedule again this year. But I think being at home helps a little bit here as well. I'm going to go Imaze 34-21. Jesse, what do you got?
Because of who South Carolina has been in the past, winning in games that you think they shouldn't have, had Lenora Sellers been 100% confirmed for this coming weekend, I would probably pick the Gamecocks just to throw some chaos into the mix. But because he is questionable and honestly probably shouldn't play given concussion protocol, let's
Yep.
protect his brain. I'm going to pick the Tigers here. I think it's at Mizzou. You don't have your starting quarterback. They've got quite a bit to clean up there in Columbia. So I'm going to go with Mizzou 31-21.
All right. Florida. Next is Florida 1-2 at number 4, Miami 3-0, 7:30 on ABC. Did I hear correctly that game day is going to be at this one? I believe that's
Oh,
correct.
maybe.
Which I'm real puzzled about because I mean, obviously Miami's highly ranked, but Florida? I mean,
In state, I guess. I don't know.
interesting. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Anyways, yeah, so we were talking about this a little bit earlier. Billy Napier really needs a win right now. Sometimes these desperation situations create some wild outcomes. We've seen that in the past. But Florida fans might not be disappointed, or might almost be disappointed with a win here, because that might give him a little bit of a reprieve.
It
And I
saves
have to,
job.
yeah, exactly. So, um, I don't think Florida wins here though, but I do think they make it a little bit closer. Maybe I'm going Miami in this one, and Carson Beck, 31-24. Jesse, who you got?
Yeah, I think Miami has looked pretty good this season. You know, Carson Beck has really settled in there. It is kind of funny when he talks about how much adversity he's had to
Like
face.
he
It's
had
like,
some
bro, you dated
terrible.
a Cavender twin and you've been driving a Lamborghini until it got stolen. So like I
Poor
think
guy. I'm telling you, I don't know how he's making it.
it's okay. Like, please. I'm sure the locker room loves to hear about your adversity that you faced. Um, but as much as Florida needs a win, not just because Billy Napier needs to save his job, but I think just for morale in the locker room, I don't know that the Gators get this done. So I'm going to pick the Hurricanes 35-20. And Billy Napier immediately starts looking up like 2 men in a truck or college hunks moving or whatever it is.
Georgia State 1-2 at Vanderbilt 3-0. That's 7:30 on ESPNU. Yeah, I don't expect Vandy to really struggle too much here. I'm going Vandy 35-17. Jesse, what you got?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to struggle. What a short little trip though. It's not that far from
I
Georgia
know.
State to Vanderbilt. But after a big win over a large SEC school, I think Vanderbilt takes care of this quite easily. So I'm going to go with the Commodores 38-10.
All right, and then Southeast Louisiana. I believe they're the Lions, if I'm not
Ooh,
mistaken. I have to look them up again.
Lions
Uh,
versus Tigers.
yeah, they're 2-1 at LSU. 3-0, that's 7:45 on SEC Network. Yeah, I was looking up Southeast Louisiana, their record, kind of who they've played, and just sort of how the program's done the past couple of years, and it's not looking great. So I'm going LSU here, 63-6. Jesse, what do you got?
What town are they located in? What
S- Southeast. I don't know.
Southeast.
I don't know.
Southeast.
I am not sure.
Some Bayou. I think LSU is for real. I think that anybody who plays them moving forward is going to be up against quite a tough team, and unfortunately, Southeastern Louisiana it has to play them, and hopefully they're getting paid quite well to do so. It's also a night game. Like, why y'all gotta do Southeastern Louisiana like that?
Right.
Come on. That's just not fair. But I'm gonna pick the Tigers 52-3.
Okay, so they're actually it's in a town called Hammond,
Okay.
which is directly east. You can pretty much hop on Highway 12 from Baton Rouge and go directly east to Hammond. So it's not
Well,
too far.
hopefully it's a very quick trip home.
Yeah, that's exactly. All right, Sam Houston, 0-3 at number 8, Texas, 2-1, 8 p.m. on ESPN Plus. Sam Houston is winless, and it's not against great competition. So I'm going Texas here, 45-6. Jesse,
Again, why are you doing this as a night game?
I'm
I don't understand. This is just not fair. It's just mean
gonna
at this.
save those night games for the big ones, for the big
Let those
matchups.
let those poor guys go home and get to bed and not have to stay and play. Like, let them have a nice afternoon.
Right?
We know how this goes. So I think it's no surprise. I'm also going to pick the Longhorns here. I'm going to pick them 48 to, I'm going to say 6.
Although there's a little bit of concern going on at Texas right now. Obviously, the way Arch looked last week, he got booed at home. So that's the first time he's been booed by the home fans. Um, I don't know. It seems to be a little bit of murmurings and worrying going on at Texas right now. Obviously, it's not full-fledged yet. We're not full-fledged panic mode, but I don't know.
There was too much hype.
Yeah,
There was way too much hype going into this. There was nothing was proven. Nothing. And again,
right.
we say it at nauseum. Preseason rankings mean nothing. It is absolutely meaningless. And I think we're seeing that right now because there was so much hype and so much pressure, honestly, put on Arch that if he didn't perform to a, Texas scoring 60 points every game, it almost felt like failure. I that sucks. I mean, and it just goes to show that you cannot buy into preseason.
That is true. Oh, another thing that I'm thinking, and I'm not trying to put this all on Arch, and nor I don't personally have any issue with Arch. He seems like a decent kid and everything. But also, I think we also have to understand that there's a large part of hype that was put solely on the pedigree and solely on the name.
Yeah,
And he obviously started all 4 years at his small private high school in Uptown New Orleans, and I mean, I don't know what kind of competition he's going up against in a small private school. I assume probably not the biggest competition that you could go up against. I mean,
uh,
I'm not saying that there's plenty of private schools out there that are very talented. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying the talent pool is typically smaller. So, gosh, I don't know.
look at
Sometime,
Deion Sanders and his sons.
yeah,
That is just every example you need of the fact that you cannot attribute the talent of the family
right,
to the children necessarily. Like that's not, I mean, God forbid someone's going to be like, Tom Brady's son is going to do, like, no,
right.
don't.
And he may completely turn things around, and who knows, we may be, definitely giving him the Heisman before things are, all said and done in his collegiate career. But, right now, things are looking a little iffy. So,
If my family is an expert at something like a family member, a dad, an uncle, whoever, if somebody is Hall of Fame, or multiple people are Hall of Famers potentially, I am not playing whatever that is. I am not going to pick it up. I don't want to play it.
expectation just too
It's
much.
too much. Just become a painter, try art, go into
Right.
dance, become a tennis player,
Should have picked up
whatever,
ice hockey or something. Yeah.
whatever it may be. Do everything but that because the chances of you exceeding them is exceedingly rare.
Right.
Like, who wants that pressure?
Yep.
You should have been
Exactly.
a ballerina, Arch.
That's it.
Where are your ballet shoes?
Yeah, so that does it for all the games for this upcoming week. If I'm being perfectly honest, and I know we are an SEC podcast, it's not the most exciting slate of games I've ever seen. Although there are a few in there. You got Auburn, Oklahoma, um, potentially Florida, Miami. I mean, I think Florida has talent to hang in there,
South
but
Carolina, Missouri. I don't know.
yeah, yeah. So anyway, so we'll see what happens there. And yeah, that does it for this episode. So I appreciate everyone listening and hanging with us for this episode. If you'd like to email us, do it at pigskinsandpageantry@gmail.com. You can find us at Pigskins and Pageantry on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. And we are at PPSEC Podcast on X. You don't want to say anything about that. And then Matt.
Twitter.
Just have an outburst for Matt's sake there. We are available for download on all the major streaming platforms out there. So please check us out. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe and review. Give us a 5-star rating. We'd love that. It would boost us and increase our likelihood of having more conversations with wonderful people like yourselves. So this is Wes. Until next time, go Dogs.
Let us know if you want a one-off specialty episode on sports law because we can make it happen. But even though we're not playing this week, Roll Tide.